Welcome one and all to this 18th episode of D&D with me, Mike.
And me, Zoe.
And today we are doing another episode with our little fella, Hans.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so let's show everyone where we left off. We have one bug that we need to solve. And this may be a bit of a short day, we'll see. So there's little Hans. He's blinking. He's doing everything he needs. He smiles when he jumps. Yee. And when he kills enemies, he smiles, which is a problem.
When he hits his head, it's quite funny.
Is it?
We also got a bit of another bug.
Like
Did
what?
we fix it? Jump and jump, please. No, it doesn't replay.
I don't know what you're referring to.
As, like, the jump used to replay when you would jump twice, it would replay. Oh, wait, it still does that.
Yeah, it's normal if you jump twice, once in the air.
Yeah.
It replays the
replays,
same
yeah.
animation. I mean, we could have a different animation if we wanted to, but
His walking is funny.
he's a busy man. Doesn't mess about, you know. He walks all over the place. Okay, sounds good. Cool. Alright, so let's get started fixing that bug. The problem that we've got is that there's two conflicting animations. When one animation plays, the one for the stomp, the other animation takes over right away. Right? So you're supposed to get the stomping animation, but then you get the jumping animation too. And we're gonna fix it fairly easily, really. Which is, if we get a stomp, I think it's... Okay, hit Control MO here, there's too much. Okay, so here we've got the jump. And the jump requests a bouncing. So here we have a bouncing, right? And we should just check if we're bouncing, then we don't do the animation, right? So we're gonna say if open round not bouncing. Oh, what are you doing? If exclamation mark not bouncing. Close the round. You know what to do. Enter twice, close it. Okay, now let's cut this and put it in there. Let's remove this line. And now let's cut this entire thing. Undo. Okay. And you can paste it over here. Save.
What?
So the character...
Why do you jump when you're not bouncing?
What do you mean? The jumping itself?
Don't you need to, like, jump when you are bouncing?
I don't understand. The bouncing is just when you're killing someone. That's it.
Oh.
So it's a jump that is triggered automatically. I think, at least. I can't quite remember. Look who's in the audience.
Hello.
Okay. So now if we bounce, we should get him going mad. Look at him. Look at his stash.
Yeah, I saw it.
Okay. So let's zoom in a little bit to observe this a bit better. Pause. So let's see if our main camera can go a little bit closer. A bit further down. There. Look at how angry he is.
Yeah.
He's really angry when he stomps people. And when he jumps, he's really happy. Oh. Yes. Okay, so what should we do next? Because we've already fixed our bug and it's only been 5 minutes. We got plenty of stuff. And we should do camera movement, but that's more complicated. I need to do research on it before we can start.
Let's put a button that will restart the level.
Okay, that sounds good. To do that, though, we need to keep track of all of the enemies and everything like that. So we need quite a lot of infrastructure, okay? So let's go to the scripts folder. And the first thing we're going to create is we're going to create the level. Okay?
Okay.
So I'll call this one level. Hit enter. Now, the question is, how should we deal with our game? Well, that's one of the questions. What do I mean by that? Well, at the moment, everything is kind of random. Stuff is going in whatever random direction, etc. There's no spawn points, there's none of that, right? Our level should have like a list of where enemies spawn and what they do. So we should basically spawn them all in the beginning and let them do their thing. But this could be a problem. Maybe they should just do their thing when you see them for the first time. It's something that probably would make more sense.
Probably.
Yeah, you know how in Super Mario you don't, like, the enemies don't do anything until you reach a certain area?
Yeah.
Right? That's sort of how it works. Well, I mean, so for now, let's begin with very, very simple stuff. First of all, we're going to need to know where to spawn these characters, right? So I don't remember if you need to enable ProGrids from the package manager. I think so. Or maybe you need to install it as a package. I don't remember. I have to look into this. There should be a package manager UI. I don't remember what it is. I don't remember anything. That's okay. I'm gonna be looking it up. But basically something that allows us to put these people in the in certain specific boxes. Okay. Now what we're gonna do for now is we're gonna analyze our scene. But to do that, we're gonna need some kind of container for this. Okay. So we're gonna create an empty object. We're gonna make sure it's at 0, 0, 0. Okay, and we're gonna name this one our level. So type the name level with a capital L. Okay, so the audience tells us Windows Package Manager, and nothing's happening. We don't have any packages. Oh, it appeared on the other screen. Evil. Okay, and here I think there may be a ProGrid somewhere. I don't know where. I don't see it. That's okay. We can worry about that later. Okay. So I'm going to put this away. Click on the inspector. Put the inspector back here, etc. All right. So we got the level. What we need to do is we need to put everything in the level. Okay. So we're going to begin with obstacles. So let's call this one obstacles. And we're going to drag this floor. And then this floor, and this floor.
How is the bottom floor an obstacle?
It's just a name to mean things that are floors, right? Say stuff that we cannot break or something. You can call it something else if you want, that's okay. So one thing that I want to do though is, you see we have like random sizes, random positions, random everything. That's not nice. So we're gonna like zero everything, okay? We're gonna actually delete these little floors and just keep the main one for now. Okay, so we got this floor. Now, if we had ProGrids, right, we would be able to make it move in very specific little spaces. Now we don't have it, so we're gonna have to do things ourselves. So let's take a look at its size. So what sizes matter to us? Not the Z, yes the Y, and yes the X, right? So on the Y we're gonna put 1, etc. What we need to do is you need our level to we don't need it to remember any of these things, actually. This we doesn't need to remember. It actually doesn't need to remember absolutely anything now that I think about it. It just needs to contain all of these things so it can go and get them later, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so what else do we need? We need
the
enemies.
Enemies.
So enemies. Hit enter. Now we're gonna hold shift and we're gonna drag them all in here. Now we've got a problem with these enemies, that they're different. Okay, so we're gonna delete this one and we're gonna delete this one. We're gonna keep just these two. This one you can call enemy_walker. And then hit enter. And this one you can call enemy_. What is this one called? ProWalker. It's a walker with pro. Okay, hit enter. Cool. All right. So now that we have this, I'm receiving new hints from the crowd here. Package manager, all, and it should be here, ProGrids. So let's see if we can download it. Install. There. That's how you do it. Now it's gonna do its thing for a bit, and then we're gonna put ProGrids on. Thank you, Cookie. Cookie is one of our regulars. There we go. And now this little interface appears. Okay. What this interface does is it allows you to choose various different increments using the equals or the minus key. Okay. So for example, if you want to move things by 0.5, you can do it like this. Well, actually, I think I'm moving something else. Yeah, moving the model, right? So if we want to move the Pro Walker, see now he moves by increments of 0.5. Say 4.5 isn't good, let's go by 4. See? Now it goes by step by step, and then if you leave him alone and go to another one, it puts him there. See?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool for level design. Somehow in the game view, it's not looking right, but that's okay. Not to worry, okay? So we got pro grids, that's gonna help us a bit to make precise levels. So we're gonna go with 1, okay? And we've got the enemies here. Now what we're gonna do with these enemies is we're also gonna save them as prefabs, right? So let's create a folder and call this one prefabs with a capital P. And now we're gonna drag the enemy walker in and the enemy pro walker. We're also gonna drag the player in. There. Okay, so we got a player. Now the level will not contain the player because the player goes anywhere, but the level should contain something to spawn the player, right? So let's create an empty and call this one player spawners. And now here we're gonna duplicate one of the obstacles. So duplicate the floor, Control D, and let's drag it in the player spawners and call this one spawner.
And make it a lot shorter.
Yep. Hit enter. So it doesn't need to be 50. 2 is probably enough. There we go. Right. So you see now this is a sort of a box, right? Let's create the material for it. So duplicate floor.
Oops, I did Shift D.
Control D. And now rename this one spawner.
We can delete daddy floor up there.
Or spotter. Spawner, hit enter. Okay, now the spawner is going to be special. And we don't want to use progrids for it, right? Because it becomes really uncomfortable to move around. I mean, it's good that we've put it here, right? But this isn't amazing. Also, I've just realized something. It's going to be quite uncomfortable to place things that aren't exactly the same size and that sort of stuff, but we'll figure that out later. Maybe the spawner will need its own model, you know? So, and generally we want the graphics of anything to be inside the object. It's much easier to deal with. So anyway, let's stay with this for now. Okay, we're gonna give it the spawner material right here. Okay, and we're gonna just change the spawner material just a bit so it looks, you know, more important there. And we should be able to like resize it on the Y there, right? So let's put it at 0.2 and drag it down. Okay, now ProGrids wants to go by 1. We need to go by half. So I'm gonna lower that there, and I'm able to lodge it in the ground. Now, why is it not great? Because it's Z fighting, because it's exactly the same size as the other one. So I'm gonna make the Z a little bit narrower for now. Bear in mind, all of this will change later, okay? So here's a little spawner, okay, in this little level. Let's see how it looks.
Can there be Y or X fighting?
No. What Z stands for there is depth, which is always the case. But basically, you are staring at two faces that overlap one another. It's Z based on your perspective, not Z based on your... not Z based on the absolute axis. Also, I mean, I'm not sure about this, obviously, but I suspect they called it that way because it looks like a Z when it fights. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about the legends, dear. Somebody will know. Okay, so we need to go back to the scene, use this, and say we're gonna put it here. So Hans is gonna spawn all the way at the left.
And probably it might get killed by an enemy while he spawns.
Well, we'll see. So right now our world does not have side walls, right? So let's create a few more obstacles. Duplicate the floor. Okay, and we're just gonna keep them in the same rotation. We're not gonna mess with the rotation at the moment. We're just gonna keep the X and put the X at 1 and the Y at 50, for example. Okay, and the same goes for the other one, 1 and 50. So this is all temporary, right? We'll worry about this later. But anyway, it's just so we can move around. So we're gonna move this all the way up, right here, and this one all the way left, and on the way up. So let's see what we get. We don't see them. So what we're gonna do to see them is we're gonna click on the camera and see how the camera points. So if you then click here, you're gonna see right in front. Now you see that the walls are outside of the camera. Frustum. Well, this is not a frustum, I don't think, because it's orthographic. But anyway, so 24.5 and 24. Let's move it in to say here. That one is 20.5. So the other one is gonna be
minus 20.
Yeah, well, the other way around. So the negative of wherever it is reassigned.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so that's good. Now let's see the camera. Okay, that's better. They're now too far. So I'm going to just experiment a little bit and put this guy over here, and it's 22.5. So I'm going to say 22.5.
And minus 2.5.
And negative 2.5. Again, this doesn't matter. Okay, we'll worry about it later. So we got these. Now, let's take a little enemies, right? And wherever we put them, that's what they're going to do. So we're going to put one over here, and the enemy pro walker, we're going to put him here. Okay? Now, they're going to fall, they're going to do their thing. Remember? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, Hans, you may be tempted to move him over here, but that's not what we want to do. What we want to do with Hans is we want to teleport him to where he needs to be when he needs to be there. Okay?
Okay.
And that's going to happen at the beginning of the level. So, first steps first is our level needs to be able to detect the enemies. Now, the enemies have certain scripts in them. They have character controllers, so we can go and find them easily. Okay? The player spawners have nothing. Okay? There is absolutely nothing on them. There is a box collider and a rigid body. I'm going to remove the rigid body. This thing is going to have no physics on it. It's going to be like transparent. Okay? But we'll be able to walk through it. So maybe a checkpoint will work like this. We'll see. And we're going to change its collider from box collider normal to box collider is trigger. This means that you can walk through it, but when you touch it, you can make things happen. But you still don't bump in it. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. Okay? Good. All right. So now this spawner for now is going to have absolutely nothing, but we're going to have to go find it. Or maybe it'd be a good idea to have something on it, like some script or something. Don't know. Did you want to put some kind of particle effect on the spawner? Shall we do that?
I think we should activate it when it spawns, when we spawn them.
Right, so let's create a quick particle effect, okay? We're not going to do anything too cool. Effects, particle system. Okay, so it's got a particle system now. Let's go take a look.
It doesn't look very good.
Which way is it pointing?
It's pointing to the right.
Well, which is the z-axis.
Yeah.
Right, so we're going to rotate it on which axis to make it point up?
The y.
The y. Let's try. Does that look right? It's now pointing sideways.
Oh, yeah. Then the x.
And the x.
Not the y.
Not the y.
That's right.
Okay, so by how much?
The top would
if
be
this is pointing forward, how much do we need to rotate?
90.
90. Like this?
Oops, minus 90.
Minus 90.
270, that means.
270. Sounds good. Okay, so we got 270. Now, this one, first of all, what we're going to make it do is we're not going to make it just spit out stuff like this. We're going to make it burst. Okay, so it's going to be a little bit like a small explosion. So instead
and it should be yellow like the spawning.
Sure. Instead of the rate over time, we're going to remove that. And we're going to add a little thing over here. And this is a burst. Okay? So this is a very, very long burst because the lifetime is really long. So let's change the way the lifetime can work between two constants. Say one is going to be 1 second and one is going to be 2 seconds. Let's see. So this is still too long. Let's do 0.2 and 0.3. Okay, this may be too little. So let's make half and 1 second there. That should do. So you see some of them last longer, okay?
Yeah.
Now the start speed, we could make it, well, first of all, let's take a look at the shape. The shape is a cone, and it's more or less wide enough, but what I don't like is how narrow the cone at the top is. So we're gonna change the angle. I'm gonna make it wider. There, so the stuff is going sort of sideways, all right? We're also going to lower the radius a bit, so it's right in the center. And we are going to change the speed to lower it a bit, so it goes less far. There, that's not too bad, right? Now let's change the speeds again. Always go for interesting random values, okay? So we're gonna say, for example, 1 and 3. Now watch what happens. See, they all go at different speeds. Okay, now start size, we're also going to play around with this value too. We're going to say random between two constants, and one is going to be 0.2 and the other one is going to be 1. Let's see what happens. See, now it looks a lot more interesting. Okay, now simulation space local is fine, start rotation doesn't matter for us at least, blah blah blah. I think those are all cool. So let's close this for now. We only have 30, let's put 50. The more the merrier. Now one thing that you'll notice is that all of these are constantly disappearing. You'll also notice that it's kind of difficult to see them because of the orange outline, right? The orange outline is kind of making everything bad. So we're going to go to gizmos and turn off selection outline. Now the outline is gone. And now we can take a look. See? Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to go down to all of these options. And let's see color over lifetime. What this is doing is it's going to change the color as the particle plays out. And this is a multiplier. It's going to multiply everything by white. So let's change it to something like this.
So it's yellow and then it turns white.
That's right. So first it goes yellow and then sort of dissipates a little. I wonder if we could give it a bit of gravity too. There. Maybe negative gravity, see how it goes up? No, I think I preferred it down. It's a little less dramatic. There, let's see it from... See? Okay, now, what about size over lifetime? That's pretty good to have too. You can control this with a curve, so you can make it start really small and then go bigger, so it looks like a puff of smoke. Or the other way around, which I think is what we're gonna go with. Do we have an ease? I don't know. So we go boom, from large to small. See that?
Yep.
Maybe we can get smaller faster. Yeah, that's not too bad, but I think I prefer the other one. There. So it looks a bit like smoke. Okay, now.
Let's change the particle a bit.
Okay, what do you mean?
Like the little circles.
You know, we can give
the
it
particles
cool, interesting noise effects. Now watch the particle closely. See how it moves like in weird rotations?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's because of this sort of texture being applied to affect a pattern. So we can increase the scroll speed a little bit. We can increase the frequency so it's more complicated. See how they go all over the place?
Looks like lots of little bugs flying.
Yeah. Well, to make them into little bugs, we need to make them a little bit smaller on the start size. Let's do this, and let's give them a longer lifetime.
Looks like fireflies.
Do you like this? For him spawning?
It's funny.
So do you want it for him spawning or not?
But it doesn't look like a spawning thingy, so no.
Fair enough. Okay, so let's go back up on the size. Let's go 1.5 maybe. There. Okay, that's a bit more spawny. Let's remove the noise. We could do collisions, but I don't think it makes sense at the moment. Texture animation, no.
The whole particle, that's what I wanted to change.
The whole particle? Well, that means we need to look into the materials.
Yeah, that.
So let's go to the materials and create a subfolder here. Let's call this one PFX, all capitals. Now that's it. And here you're going to create a new material. Call this one PFX underscore spawn. Okay, now this one is just generic. We need to go to particles and say additive will do. Okay, so now let's go to the particle system and give it this one, PFX spawn. Now it's not going to work very well for now. It's going to look like squares. which isn't actually a terrible idea for our game, right? Because our game like has squares. Now, one thing that you notice is that our particle effect is kind of slow, right? Now let's make it super fast, much faster. We can change the simulation speed to say 3. And that looks a little bit more like it wants to spawn something. Maybe 3 is too much. Let's do 2. What do you think?
It looks good.
Now, if we want to change the texture on the particle, okay, we can put something else. The problem is we don't have anything in the project yet. So the one that we had before was the default particle. You can put the knob if you want, but it's gonna look a little weird. It's gonna look a little weird, you know.
Oh.
Well, not even. I think it's alright. Those little circles, I think it's okay.
Looks like clouds and it starts.
I don't know that I like this whole gravity business here. I also think I'm gonna move it a bit further up. Okay, now ProGrids is getting in the way again, right? Now we're gonna actually turn it off. Turn it off a little bit, move it up a little bit. There, it looks like 0, like 1 seems like a good enough size. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so we got a little particle. We can change from additive to many others. For now, we're gonna leave additive, okay?
Okay.
Now, another thing that I like to do in my particles is put sub-particles in them. I'm gonna show you. So here, call this one PFX spawn. Close. Spawn, hit enter. Okay, that's good. Okay, so yeah, I don't remember what I was doing. I was just quickly reading over there. So for this one now we have one, right? And that's cool. But we want to make another one, and you can make as many children as you want. So duplicate PFX spawn.
How many times?
Just once. Now we'll put it inside it. Now we're gonna rename this one PFX flash. Hit enter. Okay, now for this one, we're also gonna want to burst, but it needs to be a one-hit burst only. Okay, and it will have no speed, and it will have a very, very short lifetime, like 0.02, and it will be a constant, so 0.02. Okay, start speed none, start size needs to have default one. Let's go with 5. I think it's gonna give me, yeah. Oh, did you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's currently appearing a bit randomly and going all over the place. So what we're going to change here is in the shape, instead of cone, we're going to put a sphere. Okay, and we're going to put no radius. So it should appear right there. You can kind of see it. It only appears sometimes though.
Yeah, I saw it.
I'm not sure why, but we'll find out soon. Okay, now, yeah, every time you restart it does it. Okay, so now we've got this thing, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna change its the renderer from billboard to horizontal, I think, or no, my bad, vertical. So it will always face us, or not. I'm a bit confused. Let's look at the game window. I'm gonna put it right here. Okay, that's not looking too bad, but I cannot see this thing, so I'm going to increase its size to 10. Okay, you saw it now, at least once.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why it's not happening every time. This is a bit odd. Maybe it's disappearing too quickly. Let me try 0.1. Okay, yeah, it was disappearing too quickly, so we couldn't see it. See? Okay, so one problem is, here we've got the little size over lifetime. This won't work for it. Color over lifetime, sure, we can leave it. Let's just change it a bit so it's more interesting. No, I think it was better before. In cartoony games, we may even go just with white, you know? Oh, so it's additive, so this one should help. There. Right, so we can see it right there. Now, I think that for this one, maybe a different sprite will be, a different material will be useful. So duplicate this one. And call this one flash. And now that we have the flash material, we're gonna go down here and feed it. And feed it. this guy. Now for flash, we're gonna actually go with the default one. This guy. There, you can kind of see it there. Now let's make it larger. 20. There, we spawn. Okay, there, that's pretty good. Okie dokie, so I think we're gonna stop here for now with this, right? The one thing we need to change is we need to remove looping, right? And we need to remove the loop from here as well. We also need to remove play on awake. This one should remove it on both. Auto random seed, that's fine. Okay, so now this one we're gonna save as a prefab. So let's create a new folder in the prefabs, call it pfx. And we're gonna drag the parent in there. Okay. We're also gonna drag the spawner in here for now. Sound good? Sounds good. Okay, so the level now is going to need the level script. Type level. Level. Boom. All right, so we got the level script and it's attached to the level. All right, now let's go and edit this script because it needs to do a lot of things, this. So it's gonna have to have various arrays, okay? So let's begin by creating a private, and our enemies are gonna be controlled by the character controller, aren't they? So you want to say private space character controller. Yeah, you're gonna give it the name later. Okay, character controller. Open of type. No, of type. I'm sorry. Array, and call it CCS. Semicolon. Okay. Now we're also gonna need a. Let's make it one for now. So just create a private. Yeah, and as you can see, now I immediately thought that we need some kind of script to control the spawner so that it knows when to fire out the particles, right? So I said particles like I'm Indian. Okay, save particles. Control the particles. All right, so here I can't see very much, so I'm doing my best here.
Sorry.
Create. Yes, you are, but that's okay. That's your modus operandi.
I'll move myself a bit.
That's all right. No, you can stay where you are. Just sit tight. It's fine. Oh boy.
There. Bonk.
That joke flew over the cuckoo's nest. All right, so this one we're gonna call spawner, right? So call it spawner. Or spawner.
Spawner.
Yeah. Plus, don't you think that our particle effect should have something that turns itself off? Maybe not. The spawner will take care of it. Okay, so give the spawner to the spawner. And now remember to hit apply. Well, before we do that, we're gonna drag the spawner script up. You know how your daddy likes to have his scripts at the top, right? Now we're gonna hit apply. And now the prefab is...
But they're not like at the top. They're not above the transform.
I don't think I can even do it. Yeah, I may be able to do it, I'm not sure. But I'm fine with the transform being all the way up. It's too useful. Okay? So we got the spawner as well now. Okay, and all the spawner needs to do is it needs to know its own particle system, doesn't it? So we're gonna say private particle system or animator particle system. Yeah, space, and you want to call this one PS semicolon. Okay, and here we're gonna say public void. And actually, let's call it a vector3. Yeah, public vector3. So it's going to return a vector3, spawn, open, close rounds, open a squiggle, save. And what you're going to do here is you're going to say, we're going to check if PS has been found already. So we're going to say if open round PS is not null. Close the round, open a squiggle. Here you're gonna say PS equals transform.find open around, quote, pfx underscore spawner, close the quote, close the round, dot get component, or light. You need to get the component to the particle system. Particle system. There it is. Close the type, open close rounds. Yeah, no. What's missing there? That was very eager, but also utterly wrong.
Oops.
Try again. Okay, that's better. So now we have finally found the particle system, and what do we do to it as soon as we spawn? What do you do to the particle system?
We make it happen.
Right, so ps dot play. Open rounds. Close. That went well.
It really did, yeah. There.
Okay, now one more thing we need to do. You see it's crying. Why is it crying?
Because it doesn't have a return.
That's right. We need to return a vector 3. We're going to return our own position. So you're going to say return. And you're going to say transform.position. Semicolon. Save. Okay, so we're going to be returning the position like this. And the reason why we're going to do this is we're going to let the level spawn us. Okay? Okay. So, now, let's go back to the level and let's go get the spawner now. So here, private. Now you say spawner. Call it spawner. Oh, look, it's already given you a suggestion. Hit tab. Semicolon. Okay, so now we have the spawner and we have the characters. First things first, we need we need to find these things. Okay, let me see. So we're gonna create a public void or void. Public void. Just type normal, Zoe. I've already told you, when you want to practice your typing with multiple fingers, you're going to do it on your own time.
Yeah.
Okay, setup, capital S. Open, close round.
Oops.
Save. Okay, so we got the setup function ready. This one is going to go and find all of these things. Okay, so let's copy this. Oh, that's bad, because we don't know whether they're all the character controllers one day are going to be enemies. So let's call this one enemies. Yeah, save. Okay, now copy the enemies, paste, equals, and here you're going to say transform.find. You remember what the repository for all the enemies is called? Not a comma though. Focus, please. Find. Open around. Quote. What do you need? What is it called? Where do we keep all the enemies? The level is called level. I know that. Model.
Level. The level. Enemies. Oh yeah.
That may make more sense. Enemies. Quote. Close round. Now, do you remember how we can put a bunch of... Where are you putting semicolon? We're not done. That's a character controller, not a transform. You should know this. Right? So how do we get stuff from transforms or from game objects? Yeah, wait a moment though. It's an array. So how do we get many of them?
I don't remember.
Yeah, well, you can get the plural, which is get components in children. So you go get components in children. Careful, because there's many.
Get component.
That's all singular, so go further.
Get components in children. This is the one I want.
Oh, that backfired. Let's do it again.
Try again. This time I know where I'm going though. So.
This time you know where you're going.
There.
Now open of type. And
open of type.
Open of type.
Again the Indian.
What?
Again the.
You don't even know how Indian people sound.
Character.
Neither do I, frankly. Character controller. Yeah.
Controller.
It's good that they've spelled every single letter. Yes. And that's good. Now this builds an array and gives it to enemies, right? So now the enemies is going to have this thing in it. Next, spawner equals. Now this one we can't do get components in children. We need to go get the one that we have. Okay, so let's see how it looks like. It's called player spawners and then spawner. Okay, so we're gonna go to transform.find. This isn't ideal. We'll worry about this later though. Now you need that hierarchy, right? So you need to open the round. Now remember the first one's called player spawners. And then what do we need? We need a slash. And then close the quote, close the round. Dot get component and nothing else of type spawner. Close the of type, open round, close round, semicolon, save. Ta-da! Okay, so now we've set it up, right? Now to reset the level, we're gonna have to place everyone wherever they started. Now that means we have a problem. Are we keeping track of where the enemies start?
No.
Let's see if the enemies at least keep track of their starting direction.
That's Hans.
It doesn't matter, they're all the same. So facing direction, facing rotation, and
current facing rotation.
Current facing rotation.
And start face rotation and face rotation.
Where's start? This one. Okay, this one's important. So we're already keeping this one unless this is something else. But this is for Hans. No, so let's look at the Walker. Start direction. What's the problem here?
It's private.
Yeah, we need to reach it from the outside. So put it public. Save. Okay, but actually not really. Because if we reset it, we could use some kind of function in here that keeps that private. Yeah, no, I'm talking rubbish. Let's go back. Hit Control Z. Okay, save. So they will know themselves if they ledge detect. They already know themselves what the start direction is. They already know that the current direction is going to have to restart. So what's the problem with this function over here? It's a start function. Okay, this means it plays itself whenever it wants to. That's a problem. We're going to have to do it ourselves. So here you want to say, well, first of all, we also need to take a look at update. So the problem with update is it also plays itself whenever it wants to, and it's not sort of stopped when we want to stop, and that's not great. So let's go and create a small and simple little boolean up here. So you go bool, private bool, that is private bool. Bool, and this one is going to be setup, just lowercase setup, or setup, semicolon. Copy this. Now where do we set up? At the end of this. So go setup equals true, semicolon. And here we're simply going to say if setup. So it's not going to do update until we've set up. Yeah, hit enter twice and close it. Oh, you want to go? Yeah, you can go all the way to the bottom. Yeah, that's good. That's
the end of that
one
page.
too far down. Yeah. Save. Okay, good. So now we're setting up, and that's great. But this one, we're going to change it from start to setup. So here you want to say public void. Yeah, space void, and there double click that and go setup. Now we'll be able to call this from the outside whenever we want to. Okay. The one thing that we're also going to need is we're going to need a certain position, aren't we? Because we do not know the initial position. So we're going to request a vector 3 here. and call this one start position or start pause. Save. Now what are we going to do? We're going to put the transform right there. We're going to say transform dot position equals start pause. Okay, we have 50 more minutes. 15.
Not 50.
Not 50, no. Daddy's tired. Okay,
50
transform
would be-
dot position equals start position. Good, good, good. So this is all good. Let me take a look at the character motor real quick because I do not know what this one does. Aha, it already has a setup gate. So it's gonna block it from doing anything. And the setup needs to be called from the outside. That's perfect. Character controller, Hans expressions. Is this setup? Yes, but it also doesn't have anything other than this coroutine that does itself. So I think it's not a problem. We can leave it where it is. Okay, save the level here. So here we're gonna create a new public function called no new public function. No, what are you doing? Public void reset. Open close rounds. That's it. It's done everything for you for reasons I'm not sure. I think it thinks the reset is something else. So type level with a capital L. Save. It may be one of those pre-made ones, I don't know. So public void reset level. Now what this is going to have to do is it's going to have to go through all of our enemies and set them up. Actually, now that I think about it, it's not that clever that we reset up every time. You know? But it may work. I don't know. Let's leave it as it is for now. Okay, so here, we're gonna need a few more things as well. We need to be absolutely certain that when we set up, all of the forces are reset. Remember, the rigid body could already have some forces, all sorts of things happening. We want to reset those, okay? So here you're gonna say RB dot velocity equals vector 3.0. Semicolon. RB dot angular velocity, the other one, the one that goes in the spinny velocity, equals, there should be a float, 0 f. Save. Okay, so that's good. No, it's not a float, it's a vector 3. My bad. Copy this. It makes sense actually. I don't know why I said a float. Save. Okay, so this guy, the spawner, is going to give us the position. The enemies themselves, we already know the positions of at the start. No, we don't. We need to store them, okay, in setup. In setup, we need to store those enemies' position. I wonder if we're going to have a problem because the rigid body may already apply. I'm not sure. We'll figure that out later. Okay, so here in setup we can collect the positions of the enemy. So let's do a private vector 3 array. Array enemy positions. Positions. Semicolon. Now, because you've already collected all the enemies, what can we do to go and collect all of the positions?
We just go all that dot position.
No, you cannot assign a position is one single piece of data. You cannot assign it to all the array.
Oh.
So how do we usually deal with arrays? Come on, you've like done 7 billion of them by now.
So we need. I forgot. We haven't done them in ages.
Oh, rubbish. Okay, so this is an array, right? So it's going to have a bunch of elements. Do you know how many elements it has right now? When it starts?
As many as how many enemies it has.
Perfect. So let's begin with that. Enemy positions equals new.
Not base.
New vector 3. That's its type. You need to learn to press tab every now and then. Okay, yeah, at the end. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. That's the best way of using it. Okay, now open a square bracket. Now, how many you said? The amount of
I
enemies.
said the amount of enemies. So we need to go with the children there.
What do you mean? Didn't you already save the children in a variable?
Yeah.
So
enemies we go.
Enemies we go. And then what do? Enemies?
And then we go.
How do you get the amount of things in an array? Always the same way. 1 year of this, guys. Still nothing. Dot length. I don't believe you didn't know this. You knew this, didn't you? Did you or did you not?
No.
You didn't know this.
I did, but way before this.
Where before this? What does that mean?
As in, the many times we've done it before. I don't think we've ever done it in this thingy yet.
Yes, we have, of course. This is, you're telling it how many vector 3s this thing is going to contain, right? Now, we know how many. Do we know which ones?
No.
Right. So how are we going to get each one? Big hint.
We have to do a 4.
Right. So remember the trick that Cookie taught you. Hit tab twice.
Oh, she.
Hit tab twice.
That?
No,
Okay.
just type 4. No. First type 4.
Oh.
Then
So it
nothing
works
else.
with
Then
other
hit
things
tab
too?
twice. Again. Now, what are we going to go for? The duration of the enemies. So copy this. Paste it here. Save. Okay. So we got this. Can we do like enter? Yeah. Okay. Now you're in there. And now you need to go and find the enemy position. How do we do it? So you need to go one by one. Enemy positions I.
Yeah. Enemy positions
I.
I.
Or 1. That's also pretty
That's
good.
also good. I.
Equals. So this is a vector 3. So where do you have to go? You need to get the position of the enemy, correct?
Yeah.
So you type enemy. Which one? Which enemy are you going to get the position of now?
Enemy 0.
Enemy 0. Sounds good. That's not insane at all. Enemy.
Enemies.
Enemies. Square bracket 0. So every single loop.
Why wasn't it? Why? I thought that was a joke.
What is the joke?
Me saying enemies 0.
Oh, so that was a joke?
You said that that's not insane at all, and you
yes,
usually
that's called irony, bordering on sarcasm. Yes. So enemies 0. Look at the loop. Read the loop and understand the loop. It goes one by one, starting from 0 to who knows how long, right? I don't know how many enemies. At this time, I think we have 2, right? So it's going to go up to 2. So it's going to do 0 and 1. On the first cycle, enemy position 0 is going to get what value? The value of enemies 0, correct?
Mm.
On the second loop, enemy positions 1 is going to get what value?
So then.
See, if you want, you can use your brain. It's there, so you can use it. All right, now, you can't get the enemies though, because what type of what data type is it? It's
character controller.
Right, and does it have transform information?
And it doesn't.
So how do we get the transform of this?
So we can't do dot transform dot
Yes,
position.
Yes, we can. Dot transform, you're going to get the object on which the script is on. Dot transform dot position. Okay. Semicolon.
Not point. Semicolon.
Okay, so I don't know that we'll have any time to do anything more meaningful than this.
We have 6 minutes.
We have 6 minutes. So what we can do in reset level, we're going to have to put every enemy in the same position. We also need to check, because I don't know if we destroy the enemy. It's possible that we do. We can't anymore, right? If our level is supposed to work many times in a row, then we cannot destroy the enemy. Okay? So it's something we're going to worry about next time. I think we're going to stop here for today.
Okay.
Sounds like a plan?
Yeah.
All right, guys, so we have absolutely nothing to show you today. The game doesn't work. But we're going to do it next time. For now, thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you again
next time.
Bye-bye.